Hi everyone, in this video, we are going to explain the Hollywood movie The Predators, released in 2010. It collected more than $127 million worldwide. This is one of the must-watch excellent movies. Here is the short summary of the movie. A group of dangerous mercenaries were kidnapped from Earth and spent 100 years hibernating in space. They were finally let free after being dropped from a spacecraft one day. The film begins with Royce, an armed officer, plummeting from the spacecraft. He regains consciousness while falling and manages to deploy his parachute. He checks the area to see whether anyone else is there after landing in a forest. Cuchillo, an enforcer for the Mexican drug cartel, is there at the same time. Cuchillo threatens to shoot Royce as soon as he lands by pointing his rifle at him. Since neither of them can remember how they arrived there, tensions between them quickly escalate. One of the two is arguing as another one falls to the ground. Absence of his parachute, he consequently perishes there and then. Royce and Cuchillo are taken aback by the incident, but suddenly, someone fire at them. They manage to escape and come up with a strategy to capture the assailant. Fortunately, the plan works and Royce manages to resist the man's threats with a gun. He learns that the man is a soldier who was also sent to the wilderness in a similar way. The three made the decision to set aside their disagreements and cooperate to discover a route out of the forest. The three men eventually come across a dangerous-looking woman who is pointing a sniper at them after some time of traveling. She is an IDF sniper named Isabel. At first, she threatens to shoot the men one by one, but when Royce assures her that they are all on the same page, she lowers her weapon. Shortly after, Isabel reveals that she has ventured through a lot of forests in her lifetime, but has never come across this one. She also mentions that she noticed some other people in the sky with parachutes. Hearing this, the group becomes hopeful of finding an escape route and heads in the same direction. On their way, they notice two men fighting mercilessly. They are Stans, an American prisoner on death sentence, and Mombasa, a rough officer from Sierra Leone. They pause as though, when they spot Royce among the bunch. The six start strolling through the woodland after a while and hear some screaming. Unexpectedly, a regular-looking man is perched upside down on a tree branch. This suggests that he has no prior fighting experience. Royce shoots the branch down and saves the man because he is the group's alpha. Then the stranger identifies himself as Dr. Edwin, a well-known Californian doctor. In addition, he informs them that the last thing he recalls is going for work. They are all unaware of where they are or how they got there. Royce quickly becomes leadership of the group but says little about himself. Isabel surmises that he is a mercenary and a former Black Ops soldier as a result of this. After a while, as they continue to travel, Royce speculates that they have been brought to the forest for a particular purpose. Since they are all assassins except for Edwin. The group finds empty cages and a plant that contains a neurotoxic on the scene after that. Nikolai is mesmerized by the plant, but Dr. Edwin prevents him from touching it and explains how it may instantly paralyze a person. With a tiny knife, he then extracts a portion of the plants for additional research. They add Hanzo, a member of the Yakuza who prefers to keep quiet, to their group as they go forward together. Later on that day, Isabel gives Royce a call and demonstrates the malfunctioning magnetic compass to him. In response, Royce also states that the sun hasn't shifted position in the sky since they arrived. This suggests that the forest is not like other forests. After some time, Mombasa stumbles into a trap as the party is still scouring the forest. Unfortunately for them, there are several lethal traps, as well as various logs, sharp items, and even spikes that are quickly thrown to the ground. Isabel stumbles and comes dangerously close to falling into a pit filled with sharp sticks as everyone rushes to safety. Fortunately, Royce intervenes to save the day and pulls her out. Once the threat has been removed, the group gathers and considers their next course of action. By measuring the size and weight of the traps, Royce comes to the conclusion that they were not intended for people but rather for a much larger and hazardous object. They also come across the decaying body of a U.S. Special Forces officer nearby. The soldier was meant to be deployed to Afghanistan, according to a document Nikolai finds in his pocket. After looking at the corpse, Royce makes the assumption that the huge beast for which the trap was set may have been responsible for the soldier's death. During their discussion, someone or something can be seen keeping an eye on them through thermal vision. After a few while, the group keeps pushing upward until it finally reaches the summit of the hill. They discover to their horror that they are not on Earth because the sky appears to be different there. Everything that was before considered weird now begins to make sense. Royce warns everyone to develop a strong plan to get back home as he turns to face the alien sky. However, just as the group enters the forest again, they are attacked by a pack of alien dogs. These dogs move incredibly quickly and are enormous in stature. Everyone draws their weapons and begins to fire at the dogs. Together they are able to kill the majority of them, but one lives and begins to advance on Isabel. She attempts to use her sniper to shoot it, but sadly it jams. Instead, she pulls out her handgun and repeatedly shoots the dog. But it was in vain. Isabel chooses to do the unimaginable because she knows she will soon die, but then a bell sounds and the alien dog reappears. As soon as everyone is gathered, Royce informs them that they are being sought after. The attacks are unpredictable, therefore it would be foolish not to ask the group members to reload their guns. Mombasa notices Cuchillo is missing at the same time. They start hunting for him out of concern and ultimately discover him, wounded and pleading for assistance. He doesn't look at the group for some reason and keeps saying, "Help me," in an odd way. The most sympathetic member of the gang, Isabel, agrees to assist him. However, Royce stops her, saying that she is being trapped. Then he throws a stone to make his point, close to Kakieyo. Surprise! The rock sets off a trap, thus the group decides to abandon Kakieyo because he is already doomed. Isabel uses her sniper rifle to put him to death before she leaves. However, oddly, his voice can still be heard pleading for assistance after he has passed away. Now Royce is leading the group as they follow the dog's tracks to a hunting camp. They see a strange monster that has been restrained there. For larger creatures appeared as the group was still exploring the area and brutally gored Mombasa to death. Fortunately, the remaining members of the group escape and dive into a river. Here, the predators, the true lords of the jungle, are first introduced to us. There are 4 different kinds of predators in total: the classic, tracker, falconer, and berserker. They are enormous, employ cutting-edge technology to find their victims and hide themselves. Royce is scolded by Isabel after the gang reaches ashore for using Mombasa as bait to see the predators. In order to defend himself, Royce claims that he simply wanted to observe and learn more about the creatures that they are battling. Then he invites Isabel to share her knowledge of the aliens with everyone. Isabella is reluctant at first, but when the group turns their fury toward her, she ultimately admits that she has heard of these animals. A team of special forces was dispatched for a routine training many years ago in the forests of Guatemala, but only one returned alive. Everyone learned about a dangerous extraterrestrial species from his report that could conceal itself and fire lasers from its eyes. After the revelation, inciting the group, Royce requests their help in eliminating the predators. The group executes their strategy in the following scene by tricking Edwin into running into the woods as bait. And as would be expected, the classic, one of the predators, learns of this and begins to pursue Edwin. The classic appears to be the least intelligent of the 4 predators as it ignores the gathering of people preparing to fire from a distance. The plan is successful because Isabel kills the predator with a clean shot just as it is preparing to launch toward Edwin. When the group finally gets close to the corpse, they learn that Isabel really missed the target. Unexpectedly, a human in a sophisticated alien suit appeared, reveals himself as Noland and steps in front of them. He confesses that he has successfully avoided the predators and been residing in the jungle for many years. After the introductions, Nolan leads the group to his residence, which appears to be a rundown spacecraft of some kind. He informs everyone within that there are 2 different kinds of predators, little and enormous. He also says that the predators transport warriors and dangerous creatures to this planet from other worlds. Hunting and sharpening their killing skills are their main goals. Similar to video games. Nolan further claims that the 2 species of predators have been engaged in a centuries-long conflict. After hearing this, Royce devises a strategy. In order to escape to Earth, he needs to free the smaller predator from the camp, join forces with it, and board its spacecraft. Nolan quietly shuts the door from the outside at night while everyone is sleeping, and begins to suffocate them with smoke. He turned out to be a scavenger whose only goal was to entice the party so he could steal their weapons. The group attempts valiantly to open the door inside, but it is now firmly locked. As the clock is ticking down, Royce takes a gamble and throws an explosive at the door. His strategy of luring the predators has proven successful. The predators quickly break into the hideout. When the tracker comes across Noland, he quickly destroys him. Then it advances on the last group, breaking the door in the meantime.
Surprisingly, the tracker allows them to flee instead of immediately murdering them, as if playing a trick on them.
Everyone else but Nikolai was unable to flee during the pursuit. He is caught by the tracker, who savagely stabs him. But before dying, Nikolai sets off a bomb, which then completely destroys the two of them. The remainder of the group hears the explosion as they approach outdoors. They feel a brief sense of comfort as a result, but then the Berserker appears. This time, Stans makes the ultimate sacrifice by holding the Predator until his comrades can flee after understanding that their deaths are impending. Sadly, his courage gives way to hopelessness as the Berserker rips out his spine and promptly kills him.
Stan's death has left the group with just 4 members. The Yakuza Hanzo, who has been quiet the entire ride, senses something once they arrive at a field and tells the others to leave. The Falconer suddenly moves slowly toward him. Hanzo decides to wield the samurai sword he stole from Nolan's base as his last line of defense. Surprisingly, the Falconer chooses to fight fairly despite possessing cutting-edge lasers and other weapons because he admires Hanzo's bravery. The fight quickly starts, as both warriors engage in hammer and tong combat. Hanzo cutting off the Falconer brings everything to a close. But a few moments later, he too passes away from his wounds. While the remaining 3 are moving in the direction of the camp, a trap results in Edwin being hurt. Realizing that he is now a liability, he tries to stand up but is unsuccessful. Sable resists Royce's suggestion that she leave him there. As a result, Royce decides to travel alone after leaving the two of them. Sadly, while Isabel is assisting Edwin who is hurt, they both end themselves in a net trap. While this is going on, Royce arrives to the hunting camp and engages the tiny predator that is being held there prisoner. He uses human language to communicate with the Predator and makes a contract that is advantageous to both parties. By releasing the Predator, Royce will be able to leave the planet. Surprisingly, the Predator agrees, and it does so right away. It makes Royce's adjacent spaceship operable. The biggest final Predator, who also happens to be the most powerful, appears all of a sudden. There, the Berserker shows up. The two Predator species then stand and fight, and as was to be expected, the Berserker kills the smaller one. After winning, the Berserker destroys Royce's spaceship, which was headed for Earth, in addition to himself. Edwin and Isabel, meantime, were able to get away from the net and extend their reach. Unexpectedly, Edwin pulls out the deadly knife from before and slashes Isabel's throat. Then he begins disclosing every detail. After all, he is not an ordinary person. He is actually the worst of the 8 chosen individuals. He committed multiple murders and was labeled a madman when he returned to Earth. Edwin continues by saying that he has grown to like this planet and wants to settle down here. As Isabel hears everything, the neurotoxic begins to paralyze her. Yet again, Royce appears and walks over to the couple. It transpires that he damaged the spacecraft. He carries Isabella away right quickly, thinking the Predator attacked her. Edwin tries to assault him from behind shortly after as Royce is tending to her wounds, but Royce fights back and stabs the crazy with his own scalpel. Then, using Edwin as bait to draw the last Predator in, he places some explosives inside the immobilized Edwin. When the Berserker attacks Edwin, there is a huge explosion, but it is not enough to destroy it. Fortunately, Royce is ready for this scenario. He covers his body in mud and sets fire to everything since he is aware that predators use thermal vision to find their prey. The Berserker is initially confused by the plan's apparent success as it traces Royce's heartbeat before attacking him. While this is going on, Isabel begins to come to, and she utilizes all of her strength to get to her sniper. She shoots the Berserker in the shoulder just as it is about to kill Royce. Royce seizes the chance, stands up, and brutalizes the Berserker with an improvised axe to put an end to the chaos. Isabel and Royce are left wondering how they will get back to Earth as the film ends. This wraps up this video. What do you think of the film? Did you enjoy the movie? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, if you have any additional questions or preferable movie you suggest us to review, feel free to ask them in a comment below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe and share with someone who loves to watch a short explanation of excellent movies like this one.